Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob. He's Joe. And we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, how was your weekend? We know the Reds sucked this week. We'll get into that in a minute. But how was the rest of your weekend with college football back and the NFL looming?
Yeah, I mean a lot of years we don't always get this where the Reds are in contention this late, but I'm just thankful that they got me to football season because now I can find a different way to spend my time. Um, I'll still be watching the Reds games, and I'll be hoping. But after this past week, Rob, it's looking like it's a very uphill battle if you look at all the playoff percentages of the fact that we could make it. But the good thing is we have some of these games in our own destiny. We can play the Mets this week. We can do well, but let's see how we do.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot about what we're going to talk about today. We are recording this right before the 1 o'clock game. So for the first time, Joe, we'll actually be able to talk about the lineup on this show because most of the time the Monday games are at night. So this will be fun. Question of the day is going to be, what are your expectations for Sal Stewart and for this team? We will go over those here shortly. But we'll be going over the game's injuries. We're going to ask the question, is it over? Yes or no? And then we'll talk about Sal Stewart, and then we will go over the Blue Jays and the Mets. But let's not waste any time, Joe. Let's get into this. Games this past week. Oh, my Atlanta, they were awful. So the Reds went out to L.A. to finish their West Coast trip, their big one of the season. Hunter Green went 5 innings. He gave up 5 runs. Only 3 were earned. He did give up 2 home runs. Struck out 3. Was probably his worst outing in a while. Maybe his second worst outing of the season, somewhere in that area. But the Reds could only manage 3 hits against Sheehan, which was a pretty big disappointment considering how they had been hitting and playing coming into this. But you had hoped, after losing 7-0 in this game, that they would come out and be ready to roll. They kind of were. They got to Kershaw early with a run. Martinez would pitch admirably, honestly. 5 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. Still wasn't enough. Austin Hayes would hit a home run as well to try to climb back in this, but Kershaw was just Kershaw. Masterful. After the first run was given up, came in the first inning, 5 innings pitched, only no hits after the first inning, 6 strikeouts, and the Reds would drop 6-3. And then you would hope, hey, they haven't been swept all season. Maybe they'll come out again. They did. They started off pretty well. They were up 1-0 in the third inning, and then Lodolo, unfortunately, due to some misplays in the field, a lot of different things, would kind of shut down. Marte would get us going off Ohtani, and again, the Reds would kind of stop after that. Ohtani would have 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. Lodolo would end up giving up 4 earned runs, which I still think is questionable. 6 strikeouts for him. He could not get through the 5th. The bullpen would shut it down for the most part, though. But the Reds would lose 5-1, and we could not get out, of the West Coast faster, in my opinion, Joe. It was just an awful series. Nobody hit. We had 19 strikeouts in the third game, 11 in the second, and 12 in the first. I know everybody wants to blame Tito for a lot of different things, but when you strike out, let me count, that's 42 times in 3 games. I don't really know what else he is supposed to do. That's for all of you out there calling him out. I'm just being honest with you. And you can try to blame even Chris Valleca for it. That's just guys not being locked in, not hitting well. I don't know if they're tired. I don't know what it is. But this was a disaster class of a series when the Reds really just needed to power their way through for 1 win. 1 win would have been huge for this team in the way that the mentality for fans and everything else would have gotten them through that. But going 3-6, even though they had an opportunity to really do a lot better than that, it's just a bummer. I don't know how else to put it, Joe. I mean, really and truly, this could have been a 5-4 road trip without a doubt, and we would be in a much, much different position. But I don't know. I don't have much else to say about it. It was awful.
Yeah, just the sloppy play continuing. I know Terry gets a lot of criticism, and again, I don't think he's doing an A+ job with this
No.
unit, but I don't think he's doing an F job like everyone on social media has thought as well. I have more thoughts on that later after we get to the Cardinal series as well. Yeah, the defense has been bad. The base running hasn't been a plus. It hasn't been as bad. Maybe this week wasn't quite as bad as it had been before when we had made some really bad errors, specifically like with J.R. House that we talked about, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. Um, but this series kind of what I'd said last week, I think, is the starting pitching was not going to be able to hold up forever. There was still some good starts this week. The Dodgers series specifically, you're playing a very good lineup. You need our lineup to step up and be good, especially like we talked about. The Dodgers had a vulnerability in the bullpen, and we still only scored 4 runs all series on them. So this is like a very bad series. I did pick us to get swept, I believe, or win one game, and then I thought we would bounce back against the Cardinals. But it was like one of those ones where it seemed like I know we're gonna get to the Cardinal series in here in a second, but like it seemed like we let the bad Dodgers series. After I thought we were going to get back on track with that win over the Diamondbacks in the last game of that series, it seems like we let it affect how the Cardinal series started too. Um, and that made things a little bit tougher as well. But yeah, it's just like a little bit of sloppy play, a lot of the offense not stepping up, and the pitchers just kind of slightly not pitching as well as they did before when they've been best starting pitching staff since the All Star break up until this point. So
Yeah, I mean, this team is pressing in a pretty big way, and that is what's really, I think, killing them, to be honest with you, Joe. I mean, Austin Hayes, with that throw, not something he would normally do. Misplays in the outfield. Ellie seemingly is exhausted, and I don't understand. I mean, I'm glad he had the day off yesterday. We'll talk about that in a minute, but this team is pressing in a big way, and they have got to find a way to just power through because statistically they are not out. I'm not going to give away my answer yet for where they are at, but they are statistically not out of it yet. And if they want to try to make it, there has to be some mental fortitude. They have got to get up. They have got to be focused because they still have one more West Coast trip. It's only a week. It's only 6 games this time instead of 10, 9, whatever it was. But they're going to have to get it done. So we will see. Then, like you said, we went into the Friday game and the series against the Cardinals, one that you and I both felt they needed not only to win, a sweep would have been very nice. If you can't tell from my tone, they didn't do that. This team battled, though. I will give them that. They went down early in this one, 3-2. They had an opportunity to kind of put things into a better place here. Littell was solid. Couldn't ask really for much more. 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Ellie with 2 errors in this one. 4 Ks. He did give up the home runs. That's kind of what he's known for. But Martinez came in, gave up a run too. But the hitting, I think did a pretty good job, all things considered. And Santillan has been great, but he unfortunately was the victim of an error, and that would cost them. You thought maybe they'd be able to get out of this one. Marte with a big home run, Steer with a big home run, Hayes with a big home run. Ellie had 2 extra base hits. Andujar was back in the lineup and had 3 freaking hits. I really thought that they were bringing this one back. They tied it up, in the 7th. They tied it up again in the 8th. They got to extras, and they just could not push those runs across. They would lose 7-5, and that was, for me, that was the dagger. Not all the way in, but it is touching the beginning of my heart right there. Because then the Saturday game was also just awful. Abbott blamed himself, but so what? He didn't look perfect this time. He only gave up 2 earned runs, 5 innings pitched. He did walk 4, but he struck out 7. He kept them in the game. Matt McLain hit a big home run that I thought was going to ignite something in this team, and nobody could hit yet again. The team was 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position in this game, 2 for 13 in the game before that. Thank God, though, they would come back and they would win on Sunday. They stemmed the bleeding. They kept themselves over 500, which is pretty incredible that we're even talking like that. Friedel had 3 hits. Ellie had a big hit, a big double. Hayes had 2 hits, including a home run for the first time, it feels like, in forever. Matt McLain had a home run. Brady Singer was a bulldog. He kept them in the game. He didn't have his best stuff either. He gave up 3 runs early on, but he did strike out 8. And the Reds did finally get to Andre Palante the way that we thought they would. Santillan and Pagan looked rejuvenated, and they came in and shut the door. 6 straight strikeouts to end the game. The Reds won 7-4. And that's the only time we got to say that this weekend. It felt like, as per usual, this team was 1 or 2 hits away, Joe, from sweeping this series. It felt like they were 1 or 2 plays away from sweeping this series. It's just, they went 4 for 12, which is much better with runners in scoring position. But overall, they just kept leaving men on base this week. They kept not executing. I think I said it. Do the small things and they will win more games, right? I think in these last 12 or so games, right? Yeah, it'd be about 12 games. I think that they would be 7-5, maybe even 8-4, realistically, if they had just done the small things correctly. The bunt in the game for Banfield. Guys, Will Banfield can't hit. They know that. That is why they have been reluctant to play him at all. Giving him a big situation. Really, the Austin Wynns trade is kind of starting to look like maybe an oopsie. We talked about that months ago, but they could have really used him. Somebody who they can just trust a little bit more than a rookie catcher who already can't hit. I understand the bunt was frustrating. I saw it myself, Joe. I get what they were trying to do. I personally understand it. You're bringing up a guy who I think you would rather put your trust in than Will Banfield. You have an opportunity to tie up the game at that point. Should it, instead of just potentially bringing in one. I personally understand it. Banfield just didn't really get it done. And he was just as likely, in my opinion, Joe, to, ground out into a double play. So I think Tito was trying to keep that from happening, hoping to get runners over. He just let it travel a little bit too much, and just couldn't get the bunt down. So disappointing series. I hate the Cardinals so much. They do this to us all the time, whether it's they put us down when we're bad or we're trying to win and they are a thorn in our side. I'll let you talk. This was such a rough week.
Yeah, I'll have more comments about the week as a whole in a second, but glad that they gave Ellie the DH spot yesterday. He needed a mental reset. His defense has been bad this year, specifically this last week or two. He needs to lock in, and again, just play solid baseball. It's been his defensive runs that he can save are amazing, but their routine plays need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Also say just Spencer Steer playing first base, having a guy who's probably 5'7" to 5'9" at best playing first base. He has played good defense, but sometimes those scoops aren't the best, and if you have a shortstop like Ellie who's going to throw it fast and throw it wide sometimes, maybe it's not the best position for him, but he's kind of stuck there now, especially when we're going to get to other news that is being brought up right now, because someone else is being brought up right now. But yeah, it was really just sloppy defense. That Friday game, specifically with that Ellie error, did feel like, to me, the nail in the coffin for the year. You lost 4 in a row. This to start this week in a week that we expected the Dodgers series to be bad, and then we expected to kind of rebound against the Cardinals. And I would say that we're going to look back at that one and be like, we could have won that game so easy. Just a kind of a litany of these games, and again, I think they'll start going in our favor eventually, but that might be next year. Maybe it's 2 years from now. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad Matt McLain started to heat up at the end of the series. That could be huge for us. Don't know exactly how they're going to play him in the future now that Sal Stewart's coming up. Shocker. But good for him. And again, we might need him. I'm just kind of concerned about the future playing time that he and or Sal Stewart might get as a result of Sal Stewart coming up, which I'm cool with Sal Stewart coming up, but Matt McLain's heating up at the wrong time. Why didn't we bring up Sal Stewart earlier? Again, that's a different question where Matt McLain could be figuring this out in AAA. Sal Stewart could be up here playing. We're already going to burn some service time here, so why not have done that early? Now we get to a point where we want both of these guys to possibly play. I'm not totally sold on Matt McLain, but he did have a good Cardinal series at the end, so that makes things a little bit dicey moving forward. We're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. And then Just another thing too. You mentioned the bunting. There was a lot of bunting this week. I am not 100% on board with the strategy that they are going with. But I also think Terry is doing his best with the hand he is dealt. I think the people who are criticizing Terry Francona, every manager deserves criticism. Not going to be 100% perfect, right? But again, I think he's doing like a B minus level job with this team, which is far better than we got from David Bell, which most years was like D level manager and had that one run in 2023 that put him, over the top for a little bit that year. He's doing the cards he was dealt. He is using them the best to his ability. You're right. Will Banfield probably would have got it into a double play. What else do you want him to do with this team? Like, yeah, you could say the hitting coach could maybe do a better job of trying to get power out of these guys, but we saw what happened last year. We had a bunch of guys swinging for the fences, and we had very low averages, and nothing was happening. I kind of like this approach for this team a little bit more, albeit I do want more power on the team, but that starts with the front office getting those players on the team. I think this team is a solidly built team. I think their floor is relatively high for a small market team, but their ceiling is relatively low because they just don't have that power. And honestly, there's still a couple holes like, bullpen. We really wanted some more, maybe some like a star arm in the bullpen, stuff like that. Maybe an extra bat that is, like a star bat outside of Ellie. Like we have a lot of solid bats, and I do appreciate that. But when you have guys like we talked about last week with Gavin Lux and Austin Hayes, where sometimes they're playing well, sometimes they're playing bad, and Andujar came over and was playing really hot, and then possibly got injured, possibly fell out of favor. I think it was more injury based on what the Cowboys said on the broadcast, but that's going to be tough. So I get it. He has not made every great decision. I'm with you on this, Rob. I am very happy with Terry Francona as the manager. Everyone online, that's the easiest thing to do is just shit on the manager. Shit on the manager. Start holding this front office accountable. If you don't like that we're not hitting home runs, yes, we can look at Ellie and say, why isn't he hitting home runs? But look at everyone else on this roster. Who do you want to hit 25 home runs on this roster? If Austin Hayes, if he's healthy, maybe? Andujar, if he plays every day, but he hadn't been playing every day for the A's? Like, that's where the focus needs to be on. Don't take pressure off of this front office. Don't take pressure. I mean, I would say, don't do anything hateful to the players, but don't do anything like put pressure on these players if they're not playing up to the potential. Like it's not always the manager's fault. That's what I talked about last year too. Sometimes we have to accept that sometimes players are just who they are. They can always get better, but like for this season, Matt McClain had a bad year. There is almost nothing he can do unless we make the postseason and he gets a couple big hits that he can turn this around. That's something to just think about. Like, what is he supposed? What is Terry supposed to do with Matt McClain? Is he supposed to like go into the front office and demand bring up Sal Stewart right now and on August 1st or something? Like, I don't know. I don't think that's how it really works. So that's kind of my thing. Is like I get the frustrations with some of the bunting. I get that it's outdated in some ways in today's baseball, but we do not have the tools to play a different style of baseball, and that's what I'm most frustrated with seeing online. So I'm with you. I think the hate is too much. I'm still okay with having Terry as manager. And if this goes on and he does the same thing, if he has David Ortiz in the lineup next year, obviously David Ortiz not now, but like a David Ortiz-esque player next year, then we can have that conversation. But I think it really just comes down to the talent he has on this roster and him trying to generate things. And obviously we talked about last week too, or maybe earlier this week, having Marte bunt, and then Marte says he decided to bunt for himself, and Terry comes out and says, like, oh, he did that. Like, I didn't call for that. And then people were blasting Terry for not protecting his player and saying it was him that said it. Like, you guys would have blasted him even more. So I get that there's frustration with bunting in baseball. I get that analytics say it's not the greatest thing. But you can't use the analytics for, like, the 27 Yankees and apply it to the 2025 Cincinnati Reds. We're not that team. We don't have that star power. We don't have that talent. We don't have that power overall. So that was one of the big things I want to get off my chest this week, Rob. I'm glad you started off the conversation with that, and I was able to address it as well, because at a certain point, this year's players are who they are. We have our highest average is 274 by Gavin Lux, who doesn't even qualify, and then it's Ellie 272. We have Friedel 265, Hayes 264, but those two specifically haven't been hitting the best as of late. What are you supposed to do? I don't have the answer. I think Terry's trying to generate something. I think the team is pressing as well because they're not having the success that they want to see, and that makes it tough. So sorry that was a longer rant, but I really do hate when people try to put the expectations of a great lineup on this team because we just don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll keep it relatively short. I think for all the pundits out there that are just going after Tito, obviously a manager deserves some criticism. He's going to make mistakes. That is how it goes. But I'm getting text messages from people who barely watch baseball, including your roommate, by the way, Joe, joking and or seriously asking me, should we get rid of Tito? Should blah blah blah. If you watched David Bell manage and then you watch Tito Francona manage and you are serious about getting rid of Tito, you're just lazy. You're not paying attention. Like the little things that Tito has done is what's keeping this team in the actual run. Joe, I think this team would be 5, 6 games under 500 and completely out of the race with David Bell. I understand that Tito has made some questionable decisions for you all, but stop being lazy. Look at the rest of the picture. Okay? Don't just sit there on Red's Twitter and listen to these few guys who are like, Tito's doing this, Tito's doing that. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it, Joe, that I've had to stop getting on Twitter because I just can't handle it. Like, these guys are just, they're lazy. They sit there and they throw out a bunch of crazy stats and they're like, I know baseball, I'm doing this stuff. Guys, there are things that they do know, no doubt about it. They have followings that are bigger than us for a reason. I understand that. But this is like some rage baity, I don't know, children's temper tantrums that are being thrown out there. I have some small ones as well, but for God's sake, stop blaming a Hall of Fame manager in his first year with a brand new team. He has made this team better overall. If you don't see that, then sorry, I don't know what you're watching. Really and truly, to Joe's point, I'm keeping this rant a little bit shorter. To Joe's point, what else are you supposed to do when nobody has hit except for Miguel Andujar, who is probably injured, right? And Noel V. Marte for over a month at this point. Ellie De La Cruz did not hit a single home run in August this year. Okay? Keep that in mind. Matt McLain barely hit better than Spencer Steer in the month of August. TJ Friedel has only just started to warm up again. Austin Hayes hadn't hit since the freaking All-Star break. Like, when your potentially third or fourth best hitter on this team has been Key Brian Hayes, the guy who has been known for his defense, of course he's going to bunt. He is trying to make teams make mistakes with our speed. He's trying to make teams make mistakes because we have no other way to generate runs against teams right now. It is just an abysmal portion of the season for this lineup. And I'm just really sad that they're doing it now. But at the same time, I'd rather them do it now. Hopefully they will clean this out of their system and we can get into September baseball and make a run. Because, again, statistically, they're not fully out of it. But if you are somebody who watches this show and we start getting lazy too and just start trying to blame the manager for everything, please come at us. I would love to hear that. But watch the games and see the nuances because it's more than just Tito made him bunt. Tito ruled this wrong guy out of the bullpen. There are things that go on behind the scenes that we have no idea about. Andujar might be the prime example right now where I'm sitting there, why is he not playing? Why is he not playing? He's got to be injured. There's no other way. This man, by the way, Joe, is batting .369 right now for this team since he has come over. All right? I'm telling you, if Tito could use him every single day, I'm sure that Tito would be using him every single day. We saw that happening when he was clearly healthy. So I'm tired of this monotony and just this boring and lazy takes. Come up with something new, and then you can start posting it on Twitter. That's it for me. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm with you. I think everyone wants to blame managers. They don't want to blame their favorite players. I get it. Like, you grow up watching, you fall in love with Barry Larkin or whoever's on the Reds at that point. But, we're on pace. Right now we have a batting average that is 15 points higher than last year. We are on pace to hit 9 less home runs. Now, that's probably a trade you would make. I get it. Some of our guys that we want to hit home runs haven't hit as many as we wanted, and that's kind of the reason why the offense maybe, isn't as good as maybe we hoped. But we're still, I think, better as a team this year offensively than last year, where our highest average was Ellie with 259, but he struck out 218 times, which he's on pace to do so much better than. So, again, a lot of it is the hand that he's dealt. He's made some of these guys better, make some of them hit for average better, and they've added more people. That does deserve some credit from the front office to get guys like Austin Hayes, to get guys like Gavin Lux. But that's the trade off you have to think about, and just think about too, like, um, you know, this is a front office. You mentioned trading Austin Wins for cash, right? That's great. I guess maybe we use that to go acquire players at the deadline. But at the same time, we also traded Rodgers for cash, and now we don't have a left-hander that has been pitching well since the All-Star break out of the bullpen. So there comes a time where we're like, what is he supposed to do if there's a bunch of righties coming up? And I think both Sam Moll and Brent Suter both have ERAs above 6 since the All-Star break. It's you just like there's no option. Like what it's a lot of like he again just him doing what he can with the roster he was given. So again, I'll keep that part short as well. Just I thought it was interesting to note the offensive improvements over last year, although home runs will be down. It's important to note the improvements we've had, and that we can get more players to hit power later. But also, just like it's not just the hitting, but it's like gets criticized for how he uses the bullpen. Like which left-hander is he supposed to use right now? Which guy, on a bigger sense, which guy is he supposed to give days off to when we don't go to some of our top 2 or 3 guys? It seems like the league gets blown anyway. You can't win with the 2 or 3 man bullpen. They've done great. They're the 13th ranked bullpen in ERA this year right now, but it's been a hard job. Again B minus job for Terry. I don't think it's the greatest thing he's ever done. I don't think it's the greatest job he's ever done with the team, but it just comes back to analyze what he's been given, analyze what guys have struggled this year, analyze the guys who have made steps forward this year in a lot of different ways, and go from there. Yes, I want everything to be fixed. I want Ellie to play the better defense. I want Matt McClain to be what we thought he was going to be. It's not fair to put it all on the manager's shoulders when we are a small market team who refuses to spend money and wants to compete. That's how it goes.
Couldn't agree more. I really, yeah. I could say more. I'm not going to. We're going on to injury updates. Tyler Stevenson seems to be close, but who the hell knows at this point? He took batting practice, caught and blocked balls. They said he's getting there. This team needs him really badly, to be honest. So I'm hopeful that he will be back soon. Even a weakened version of Tyler Stevenson is probably better than what we are getting with Banfield at this point. Chase Burns threw on the side and is doing live BP tomorrow. Realistically, I guess he could be back in the last 10 games. We'll see. I doubt it, but who knows. Ashcraft went to the IL with a forearm injury based on the MRI, which came back with some inflammation. He's probably done for the season. And then the ever-loving question of Andujar dealing with a thigh injury that was kind of leaked. I think it was a thigh injury, if I remember correctly. I think him and Ellie potentially have been dealing with thigh injuries. They're playing through them. I appreciate it. I don't know what's going to happen. You kind of traded for Andujar for this run, so I think they're trying to give him strategic days of play when he's feeling right, and he's been still playing well. So we will have to see. You got any major thoughts on these injuries?
Yeah, the Cowboy mentioned something about possibly pinch hitting Andujar for Trevino in one of the games this week. And he did say, like, when healthy, you would definitely pinch hit Andujar. He made it seem like there was something there. So the thigh injury, I think that's probably why he hasn't played the last couple, weeks as much as he did the first couple weeks he got here. And, again, we have a bunch of Thursdays off coming up. Hopefully coming back home this week can maybe help him get better medical care, treatment, and maybe some rest as well. And maybe that can help him get going here. Other than that, yeah, would love to have Stevenson back. Would love to have Banfield not be taking Major League at-bats and have this situation where we might be bunting or maybe not, because that solves the whole problem right there, to be honest.
Yep.
And yeah, I think the pitching is kind of wearing down, so hopefully we can get some of these guys back, whether it is like Wade Miley or Chase Burns or something like that. Ashcraft gets hurt, the bullpen's kind of wearing down. It'd be nice, even if the guys aren't the most experienced in the bullpen, we can throw some live arms out there. Because it just seems like it's been a long season for some of our bullpen guys this year.
It would be great to have Miley instead of Moll in there right now. I will say that. That would be, I feel like, a very worthwhile trade-off, and I think one that he would make to try to help this team make the playoffs. So, all right, let's get into kind of not the big news of the day, but we're going to talk a little bit about the standings for this team. By some miracle, the Mets have also not been playing very well. They lost 3 of 4 to the Marlins, which is, thank God, that is all we could have hoped for, to be honest, at this point, Joe. Kind because this Reds team is still statistically in it. It is going to take a Herculean effort for them to make it, but they are still only 4 games out with 25 games to go. That is not an insurmountable lead without... I mean, there's still a world where the Reds could go in and still be 2 or 3 games up even by the end of the season. But they have to go on a run. We've been pretty good about not going like 2-8 and stuff like that very often, Joe. That is something that we just had happen. Everybody has a time in the season where you really do just have a bad run or two. I am hoping that this was it. We have seen some sparks of light, but before I get too hopped up and happy about it, I will say again, this is a Herculean effort. It is not going to be easy. I have some points that will support at least myself and why I don't think it's over. I'll put it out there in that way. But I will let you talk first because I'd like to see kind of where you are on this line of yes, we're done, or there's still at least a little glimmer.
Yeah, I think if we lose that Mets series later this week, which we'll preview here in a bit, it's over. I'm going to leave it open-ended until that Mets series happens. I know that's a week from now, and things could totally change. Our schedule's still very tough. I mean, Blue Jays are a very good team, playing the Mets, playing the Padres. We've gone through it before, and then we play divisional games at the end of the season, which terrifies me with the way we play against our division. But if we can somehow win this Blue Jays series, and then we can somehow win the Mets series, where you're going to obviously have a hand in the Mets doing poorly in that series as well, you move up the standings, I think there's a chance they're still in it. That is very tough to do, given we're going to preview the series a little bit. The pitching matchups, I like the guys we have going, but I also think the guys they have going are good for them as well in different ways that we'll talk about. But I did say you have to win 4 a week the rest of the year. If the Mets, even after we win this series, say we're only 2 games down after this week, we're very much in it. But winning 4 games a week may not be enough, depending on what the Mets do. And that's what really sucks, is that some of it is out of our hands. Now, Mets have a sneaky, tough schedule as well. We talked about that last week. Tigers, us, Phillies, Rangers, Padres, Nationals, Cubs, Marlins. So I think they could falter again. They kind of got back on the right track with that Philly series and then and that Brave series right before it. But then they fell off against the Marlins. I could totally see them falling down again. They don't have the greatest pitching all the time. I think they have good starting pitchers, but they don't always perform up to their expectation. They traded for a lot of these bullpen guys, not always living up to those expectations as well. So if there is going to be a team that does falter, it is the New York Mets. They do it all the time. They did it 2 weeks ago. Their fan base is on them all the time, and I think that does weigh on them. So I would say that. I would say not out of it, but we probably need to win 4 games this week. And I used to say 4 games a week no matter what. This week, it probably does matter more that we win at least 2 against the Mets. So I'll say if we win 2 games against the Blue Jays at least and 2 games against the Mets, I will say it's not over. If we lose the series to the Mets, if we win just 2 games this week, if we win 3 games and we lose all 3 to the Mets or something, I will say it's probably over.
So I'm gonna play the hopeful card. Okay, Joe, I'm gonna give some ways to where the Reds can make this happen. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think we're gonna make the playoffs, but I'm just gonna straight up say it. I think we're gonna miss it by 2 or 3 games. And it's going to freaking hurt, and I'm going to be really pissed off about having to play the Brewers at the very end of the season. This is a tough, tough month for us. But, Joe, there is hope. Are you ready for this hope? Are you feeling it?
I'm ready.
Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs? All right. The Toronto Blue Jays have not been playing their best baseball as of lately. They have been okay. They've been average. The Reds have an opportunity at home with them. I'm feeling okay about that. What it really comes down to is I am depending on 3 things. The first one has happened. Sal Stewart is here, and he's going to play. For some reason, during this 2023 run, every time somebody new came up and into the lineup, this team did well. If you remember correctly, Joe, the Reds have had that happen as well this season. When Austin Hayes came back, the team started playing really well, right? When Miguel Andujar got added, they started playing well. When Matt McClain even came back. While he didn't play that well, the team played better. When this team gets reinforcements, Noelvi Marte, when he came off of injury, right? The team started playing better. When this team gets reinforcements, Joe, they weirdly start to play better. I would have rathered him come up for the Cardinals series specifically. I think it's really tough to ask a kid to come out to LA and expect him to do much during that road trip. I think they wanted to keep his confidence up, hope that the Reds could survive the trip. Even winning one more game would have been surviving the trip for me. I digress. He is going to be able to come up. I told somebody yesterday at my fantasy draft, you could bet that Sal Stewart's going to hit a home run this week. I don't know when, but I think he's going to hit at least one home run this week. I think that is going to happen. I think he's going to help this lineup just mentally, just giving them some new energy, right? If you watched, he gave his press conference. He said he is here to hit, and he is here, and he's excited to be in a playoff run. You know, these guys, it's like you're in the middle of a battle, right? And I don't know, maybe you're a Lord of the Rings fan. This one's for you, Cecil. I've been watching some Lord of the Rings clips lately. And you're at the battle, and you think that you're at the end. You're just like, we just don't have more in us. And then that shining light comes in, and some new kid comes in, and he brings that energy, gets them back up and ready to roll. Sometimes you just need that. Sal Stewart seems like he's going to have that mentality. Whether or not they're going to grasp onto it, I don't know, but I think that's step one. Step two, their schedule is not as hard as everybody is making it out to be. All these other teams are tired at the end of the season as well. We still have the Athletics. We weirdly played the Cardinals better on the road than we do at home. We have for the last few years. I'll take it there at their place. The Cubs have also been faltering to the point where they are still trying to add pitching and went out and had to go get Aaron Savali off of waivers. Now, I think he's a pretty solid addition, but you get my point. The Pirates have been on and off. I like them better at home than on the road as well. We know that. They are a much better team at home than on the road. We get them at home. Lastly, the Brewers have been struggling, Joe. They've been having some issues. They have been still fine, but they're not as unbeatable as they were, and we were the ones to end their streak. I think they will be kind of resting their starters, as they will have probably had the division locked down by the point that we are playing them, and I think that there's a chance there. That's step two. Here is step three, Joe, and this is the biggest one. The New York freaking Mets are 45-27 at home. Joe, 45-27. That is 18 games above 500 at home. Their record on the road, they are 9 games under. They are worse than we are on the road. Joe, they are not a good road team. We have talked about this before. There are 25 games left, right? Yeah, for them as well. Okay? 9 of those games are at home. They have to play 16 games. Wait, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, 1 second. 3, 6, 9, 12. No, 16. Yeah, they have to play 16 games on the road, Joe. 16. And they got to play them against the Tigers, us, the Phillies, the Cubs, and a Marlins team that they have struggled against mightily. Their home games are against a good Rangers team, a very good Padres team, and a mediocre Nationals team. They might have the hardest September schedule compared to us. If this Reds team wins 84 games, which would be them going 15-10, a very reasonable amount of games for them to win, they will make the playoffs. If they do not, they will not. That is what it comes down to. There is hope, without a doubt, because for some stupid reason, the Mets decided that they didn't want to put us out of contention this week. But the Reds have got to go out and take care of it now. So, I don't know how you feel about it. I still don't think they're going to make it. It's still long odds. But there are teams that go, 15-10. There are teams that go 18-7 over a 25-game span. The Reds have yet to have a 5 or 6 game winning streak. Realistically, all it takes for them is to go 5-1 this week, including a sweep against the Mets, and they are either one game out or tied for the wild card by the end of the week, Joe. Do I think they're going to do it? Probably not. Can they, though? Absolutely. So, yes. Do they still have a chance? Absolutely. I put it at about a 15-20% chance of them making the playoffs, which still shows them as not making the playoffs, but there is a shot. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that was my 3 things that needed to happen.
Yeah, I would say my guess is they finished with like 83, 84 wins outside of the playoffs. I think ESPN has them as a less than 4% chance now. I'm with you though. I think this week could be big in a lot of different ways for momentum and just honestly more so the Mets having their struggles away from home, but also just imploding. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm a little bit more worried about the teams that are behind us now too, to be honest, because they've caught up. But at the end of the day, if we take care of business, the teams behind us don't matter. It's just the Mets, and let's see what we can do this week. It's a really big week. It's good competition. We have to really figure things out. I'm excited for it, and let's see what Sal Stewart can bring to the lineup.
Let's talk about him real quick, Joe. Sal Stewart, he's coming up. This kid has been doing nothing other than hitting baseballs for the last year. He was injured last year, but he still hit 20 home runs. Yeah, wait, no, was it? No. How many home runs did he hit last year? Yeah, I can't find it, Joe.
He
23.
hit 20 home runs this year. He had
He had
eight last season.
12. He had 12. Or, yeah, 8 last season. He's had 20 in the last 2 seasons. What he has done is hit a lot of doubles, but he's hitting 309 this season. 77 strikeouts to 46 walks shows that he has a good eye right now. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, all he's done is gotten weirdly better as he has moved up through the system for the Cincinnati Reds. I'm feeling pretty good about it. We do have a lineup, Joe. TJ Friedel will be in center field. Noel V. Marte in right. Ellie is back at shortstop. Austin Hayes will be the DH today. Gavin Lux is playing left field, which is scary, but that's okay. Sal Stewart will be playing first base for the Cincinnati Reds in his debut, which is interesting. Ke'Bryan Hayes at third. Jose Trevino at catcher, and Matt McLain will be staying at second base with Hunter Green on the mound against the Blue Jays. We'll go over that series here in a second. But, Joe, what are your expectations for him in his first month? I am hesitant. I am a little worried, but he doesn't seem to be nervous, at least based on what we have seen so far. I'm sure there will be nerves when he gets there, but he just kind of seems to be riding the high, which I think helps, to be honest. But where are you at?
Yeah, I'm. It's hard to put expectations on a player who is playing a new position. He played a little bit of first base in the minors, but that's tough that he has to come up here and play a new position with a shortstop that has wild throws and then also hit. Um, I would have liked them to maybe put him at second and have Steer in the lineup, but I guess you're going with the hot hand with McLean. I honestly, I'd kind of like the move though in a way because this is kind of a chips on the table. Matt McLean's hot right now. We're taking this risk where he's going to keep on hitting. We're putting Sal Stewart in the lineup in a position. If he doesn't work out at first base, he doesn't work out. But I kind of like putting the best bats in the lineup. My expectations for this month, to be honest, I want to see the hitter that he was in the minor leagues. We have had such a big problem with strikeouts these last 2 weeks, and that is the big reason why we're losing these games. Just don't strike out. Put the ball in play. Put it with decent velocity. I don't really care about the launch angle right now. Just put the ball in play and don't strike out, and I'll be very happy. I think it's fair to expect that he can come up here and maybe hit 275 the rest of the way. Maybe hit 3 or 4 home runs this month if he plays every day. I think he's going to be in the lineup every day until he proves that he's not hitting. I think it's very much outside of this 5 or 6 guys we mentioned last week, Rob, that need to be in the lineup every day, and the top 6 in the lineup every day. It is very competitive between him, between Matt McLain, between Spencer Steer apparently now. It's going to be really tough to fit all these guys in the lineup. And again, I'm not saying we have a great lineup, but we have a lot of guys who need to show that they're playing their best baseball right now. And that's what I said: 275, 3 or 4 home runs, don't strike out. I think that's a fair thing to expect out of Sal Stewart. Probably some errors in the field playing new positions, but that doesn't really help with our sloppy play lately. But I think that's a fair, decently low expectation for a month.
I think that's absolutely fine. I think 275 makes sense to me. 3 or 4 home runs is kind of where I was going to go to. I think he might hit 3 or 4 doubles too, to be honest. I think he might end up being an RBI machine. They need somebody in that 6th spot to do that. If Hayes gets on, if Lux gets on, somebody to drive in runs. There's just something in me that thinks he's going to have a big hit today. I don't know if it's just going to be an RBI, a double. There's just something in me that he's just going to come up and do something. So, really excited for Sal to finally be here. It is going to be a battle. Who is going to play, going forward, we don't know. But it may be Sal Stewart at second instead of McLean, which is just unthinkable at the beginning of the season, if we're being honest. But that's where we're at right now, and I'm excited for him. We've talked about him quite a bit. Let's get into these games. Blue Jays. Like we said, it will be Hunter Green versus Chris Bassett. Nick Lodolo versus Jose Barrios. Or Barrios, sorry. I don't know. I always forget how to pronounce that one. And then we will get Mr. Zach Littell versus Shane Bieber, who I don't know if this is his first start since coming off injury, but it'll be something close to that. Joe, where are you at looking at this team right now? Now, they're obviously a pretty solid team. George Springer is having an outstanding season. Vladimir Guerrero is having a great season. Bo Bichette, this team can hit. Alejandro Kirk. Everybody on this team can basically hit right now. Where they've been struggling is things like pitching. Chris Bassett has been okay, but not great. Jose Barrios has been okay, not great. I'm looking to see right now, has Shane Bieber had a start? He's had 2 starts, excuse me. He's looked solid, but he hasn't been able to go very deep into them. He has not walked a guy yet. So, been a nice pickup for them for sure. It's not a bad team. I mean, it's really not. Their biggest struggles are in the bullpen, Joe, it looks like. But outside of that, they're a pretty solid team.
Yeah, they're 17th in bullpen ERA. You're right. That is the weakness you can find in a team that is 21 games above 500 right now. Mm-hmm. They are a team that I think a lot of people had started to give up on their young players just because they didn't have as much success as maybe they wanted early. So maybe that's a lesson for us Reds fans heading into the next couple of years. They hit the ball well. Their starting pitching, I think, is very good. I don't necessarily like the matchup we were given with the starting pitchings here. I like I said earlier, I like our guys. I kind of like their guys too. And that's kind of the problem. I will say, I think we can win 2 out of 3 here. I'm going to take it. I'm going to manifest it, Rob. I think maybe we lose either the Bassett or Barrios start. We win the other one, and we're able to win that Bieber start. You're right. He has had 2 starts. He's kind of lost. He's pitched well since he's been healthy this year, but he's kind of lost his way a little bit as a starting pitcher the last year or so. I'll say 2 out of 3. I think Sal Stewart brings us some juice to the lineup. Hopefully some of our other guys get going like Miguel Andujar and when he's able to play, and I think we can get this job done. Being at home is going to be huge.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big part is being at home, I think is going to help. I mean, we're facing 3 righties, which theoretically should be helpful, although I think we've actually hit lefties pretty well lately. Look, this is like a playoff series to me, Joe. Every single one of these are. If we are going to say in a playoff series that we would take Hunter Green and Lodolo over some of their best, then that's what it's got to be. These 2 have to come out and get the job done. I think this lineup, for some reason, there's something in me, and maybe it's just my everlasting optimism for this team until they're fully out of it. I think that they're going to hit. I don't know why, but there's just something in my gut that tells me that, this Labor Day, they are going to get some hits. So I'm going to go 2 and 3 as well. I really would like to say they need to sweep, but I think if they can win 2 of 3, I think they're in a good spot right now. We will take it. The Blue Jays, they don't come to Great American Ballpark very often. I'm just worried that they are going to hit the crap out of the ball. But we've got 2 of our best 3 starters up against them. I'm going to take the Reds 2 out of 3. Now we head into the ever-important Mets series. And I'm really interested in this one, Joe, because we have Andrew Abbott going against Jonah Tong. He just had his first start last week. So we'll see how that goes. I think this will be his third, or second probably. Then you got Brady Singer versus David Peterson. If you guys remember the David Peterson game, I went back and looked. It was pretty close, but the Reds would ultimately drop. That was one of the 3 games that they dropped in New York. And then we got Hunter Green, which should be a great matchup against Kodai Senga. Joe, I'm just going to straight up say it. The Reds, generally speaking, have played better on the weekends than during the week. Lately, not as much, but they generally have. They know this is a big series. You've got, I would argue, their 3 best pitchers right now. Well, maybe not. Singer's been super good, but he's right there, right? He has pitched very well. It's not like you have Littell going in this series. Jonah Tong is young. They were able to get to Senga before. Peterson kind of held them in check. They'll at least have some new stuff on them. I hate myself, but I'm going to go 3-0. I'm just going to do it. They have to. They have to. There's just no other way around it. If they do that, they're in the playoff hunt right away. Like they are truly in it, if not potentially in a wild card spot. We know this Mets team has struggled at times. They have had their ups and downs. They don't do well on the road, Joe. They just really don't. I'm going to hang my hat on that. I'm just going to go 3-0 and give us an opportunity to have a more fun conversation next week.
Yeah, my hope is that they play well enough in the Blue Jays series. This series actually matters. I hope they don't win one of two or one of three, and then have like this be like, oh, I guess if we win the series, it's good or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna go 2 out of 3 with this one too. The Reds will always seemingly keep the fans on the hook as long as possible. I do like the energy that Sal Stewart could bring to this team and this lineup, and I do think. Talk about it at the deadline. I do think players get frustrated when there's like players who can be brought in to help and they're not. Sal Stewart was a guy who I think maybe, I mean, obviously not right away to major leagues, but at least after 2 or 3 weeks at the AAA level, he should have been brought up and maybe waited a week or two too long, and it makes no sense. But maybe this rejuvenates them enough, and I'll say 2 out of 3. Jonah Tong, yeah, he really, he got the win against the Marlins. The only win, or excuse me, he pitched in the win against the Marlins. They won 19-9, and he only pitched 5 innings. Let's see if the bullpen wears down a little bit for the Mets here. They're going to go against the Tigers. They're going to go against us. Let's see if we can get to them and get something done. I mentioned the Blue Jays have a decent bullpen. They're 17th in the league. The Mets are right behind us. I think they're 14th in the league. So not the easiest, even if you get to the bullpen, but if they're worn down, maybe that's something we can take advantage of.
Just to hype us up a little bit, Charlie Goldsmith has some stuff real quick. I'll start with the not as fun part. Apparently, Spencer Steer is also battling through a leg injury for the last 2 months. He's just trying to play, so that's why he is not going to be playing today. Here are some words from Terry, and then we'll get into what Sal has said. Because I think that's what we'll end it on to give ourselves some good news, and then we'll go to your words of wisdom, Joe. Terry Francona said that they wouldn't bring Sal Stewart up not to play. He's a big part of the mix. Part of the reason he's at first today is because Steer has been injured. He talked with McLean as well as Stewart can play second. McLean is in there today and mentioned that he has been swinging the bat well. Francona said that it will take some creativity to make this work, and it's always fluid as moving pieces like Steer not being in the lineup today. Here's what Sal had to say, Joe, during his conference. At least this is part of it. I will play anywhere. I play the batter's box. Whatever they need, I'm willing to do. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for the team. We can make the playoffs. I firmly believe that. My job is to help the team win in any way I can. It gives me chills that all the fans think I can help the team win. It means everything to me. When they drafted me in 2022, they took a chance on me when everyone didn't think that they should. When I started moving up the ranks, they thought it was still not good enough. The media, the fan base here is second to none. It means a lot. Hype me up. Gas me up there, Sal. He feels like he can help this team, and I think he can too. Love me some Charlie Goldsmith. Glad he is the one to be putting that out there as well, at least from where I can see it. Make sure you guys follow him. He does excellent work. But Joe, give us some words of wisdom. Lead us out of here.
Yeah, so just one funny note here this week. There was a big story going around about Aroldis Chapman, our former closer.
Oh, God, yeah, I saw this.
And he's having the best season of his career. The Red Sox just signed him for 2026 as well. So any thoughts of a reunion to get our lefty? Hey, that would have been nice to trade for him at the deadline, possibly. But we talked about that a little bit. But and they talked about how his control was better. And I think it was Buster Olney at ESPN said, like, oh, well, the catcher, Connor Wong, was like, hey, why don't you try throwing this fastball on the inside with the pitch comp? And he did. And after it started working, they were like, what's like, your control is amazing. And he's like, I never thought about controlling my fastball. So that's why Aroldis Chapman's having a great year this year. Just so you know, I guess no one ever told him when he was at the Reds organization or anyone else, like, hey, maybe you should try to, like, place your fastball a little bit better. Like, it's really cool if you can throw 105, but I don't know. I don't think we would have won any playoff series with him because we couldn't hit the ball, but it does bring back some painful memories of him walking some guys and um, just some tough times. But would be nice to have him on the team right now with our issues having left-handed bullpen pitchers. So just thought it was interesting to bring up.
It is pretty incredible that all it took was somebody. I mean, because like when a guy does throw fast, right? It's just throw the ball over the plate. That's really what you're taught. But he didn't. He wasn't taught to actually just throw the ball, I guess, for a strike. So pretty incredible thing, or where to place the ball. Pretty incredible thing. He does have 362 saves. Sounds like he is well on his way, Joe. There's a chance this man could reach 500 saves and be one of the best closers of all time, which is pretty incredible when it felt like he was kind of starting to fall off, and now it feels less and less likely that that's going to be the chance or the truth. I mean, he's very much got an opportunity to save 30 games a season with the Red Sox over the next few years here, and if that's the case, then I mean, there are plenty of closers that pitch into their 40s. We saw it with Hoffman. He's already, let me see real quickly, saves leaders. Where's he at in all-time saves? He's pretty high up there. Yeah, he is 13th already. By the end of this season, he will likely have taken over 12th, and probably it's unlikely this season, but next year he will be top 10 in saves if he stays healthy. Pretty incredible.
He needs to get to 400 if he wants to make the Hall of Fame, and he's only 38 away. I mean,
that's next season probably.
Where he gets into the top 8. It's just very tough because there are guys like Francisco Rodriguez who have 437, not in the Hall of Fame. John Franco, 424, not in the Hall of Fame. But I think to give yourself a shot, you need to have 400.
I mean, Kenley Jansen and Craig Kimbrell are right there. So, and they are certainly. Oh, Kimbrell's fallen off, but Jansen is still pitching okay for the Angels. So we will see. Any other wise words, Joe?
That's it. Let's get some wins this week.
God bless. Let's hope. All right, Reds fans, let's lock it in. Enjoy Sal Stewart Day. Enjoy your Labor Day. Jeez. And that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So from our house to yours, we'll catch you guys on the next one.